The morning sun in Tampa, Florida, shone through the window of my bedroom. I'm Martha Coleman, 62 years old. As usual, I woke up before my 5:30 alarm clock went off. Habits are strange things. Even 5 years after my husband John passed away, I still feel like he's breathing next to me. I got out of bed and stood by the window. Outside, palm trees swayed in the breeze. Looking at this view, I take a deep breath to prepare for the start of the day. Well, let's do our best today, I tell myself as I head to the closet. I choose a white blouse and navy skirt, and neatly put up my hair. Looking at myself in the mirror, I suddenly remember my daughter Sarah. Sarah is 35 now. When I was her age, I had already started to get Coleman Realty on track. Those were desperate times. But Sarah's life is taking a slightly different path. While having breakfast, I look at a photo of Sarah and Emma. Emma turns 8 this year. Seeing her smile warms my heart. I was worried when Sarah became a single mother after her divorce, but Emma's birth brought joy to our family. Taking a sip of coffee, I smile wryly. I remembered Sarah's new husband, Tom. When I first met him, I was honestly concerned about the age difference. But seeing how Emma took to him made me feel a little more at ease. Tom, make sure you're here at 9 o'clock sharp, I mutter to myself. I hired him as an assistant at our company because I wanted to stabilize Sarah's life. By giving him a job when he was unemployed, I wanted to support the new family start. In the car on the way to the office, I was thinking about Emma's education fund account. I had just opened it at the bank the other day. I wonder if it was the right decision to let Sarah manage it. A bit of worry crosses my mind. But trusting your daughter is a parent's duty. She must be growing as a parent too. Looking at the Tampa cityscape, I renewed my determination. In this city, our family will carve out a new chapter. Through Coleman Realty, I'll help many people find their dream homes while also protecting my own family's happiness. That's my mission now. I arrived at the office and parked my car. Taking a deep breath, I tell myself to give it my all today. For my family, and for the people of this city. The midsummer sun was shining through the office window in Tampa. I'm at my desk, checking a pile of documents. Coleman Realty continues to grow steadily, but with that comes an increase in workload. Suddenly, I noticed there were no messages from Sarah when I looked at my cell phone. She used to call 2 or 3 times a week, but recently that's decreased significantly. She must be busy, I told myself, but somewhere deep inside, anxiety began to grow. Mrs. Coleman, there's a call from Emma's primary school. My secretary Linda's voice brought me back to reality. Yes, I'll take it. As I picked up the receiver, I heard the voice of Emma's teacher, Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Coleman, Emma has been absent for about a week, but we haven't received any communication from her family. Is there something going on? I was speechless for a moment. I hadn't heard anything from Sarah. I'm sorry. I'll check and call you back. After hanging up, I immediately tried calling Sarah, but couldn't get through. Anxiety spread in my chest. I decided to leave work early and head to Sarah's house. While driving, I was considering various possibilities. An accident, illness, or just negligence. As I entered the suburban residential area where Sarah lives, I see well-manicured lawns and well-maintained gardens. This house, too, I had purchased and was renting to Sarah. As I parked the car, I saw the Worms couple doing yard work next door. "Hello, Martha," Mrs. Worms called out. "Hello. Have you seen Sarah and her family recently?" Mrs. Worms looked at her husband with a troubled expression. "Actually," she continued, choosing her words carefully, "we've been hearing crying and shouting in the middle of the night recently. We've been concerned." Mr. Worms added, "Last night was particularly bad. We thought about calling the police, but..." More anxiety spread in my chest. As I stared at the front door of Sarah's house, I took a deep breath. "Thank you. I'll check it out." As I approached the front door, I tried to calm myself. But my heart was still pounding. What was going on? Was Emma safe? Fear of what I might see and the sense of duty to know were conflicting within me. I took out my key and put my hand on the doorknob. At this moment, I didn't yet realize how much my life was about to change. As I turned the key and opened the door, a strong stench hit my nose. My eyes widened, and I hesitated to step into the entryway, but thinking of Emma, I knew I couldn't hesitate. "Sarah? Emma?" There was no response to my call. As I advanced down the dimly lit hallway, I noticed something rolling at my feet. Bending down to look, I saw it was an old pizza box. As I moved further, I saw empty cans and half-eaten food wrappers scattered about. What in the world? Entering the living room, it looked like a typhoon had passed through. The sofa cushions were torn, the TV screen was cracked. Clothes, magazines, and toys were carelessly thrown on the floor. A family photo frame that had been hanging on the wall had fallen and broken on the floor. The smiling faces in that photo were so far removed from the current situation that I was at a loss for words. I could feel my heart rate increasing and my breathing becoming ragged. Where was Emma in this situation? Desperately trying to regain my composure, I headed towards the kitchen. When I opened the kitchen door, I froze at the sight before me. A skinny girl was ravenously eating leftover food scattered on the floor. Her hair was tangled, her clothes were dirty, she looked like a completely different person. But seeing her profile, I knew immediately it was Emma. "Emma." At my voice, Emma slowly raised her face. Tears were welling up in her large eyes. "Grandma." Her voice was thin and trembling. I rushed over to hug her, but seeing her shrink away, I stopped my movement. "Emma, it's okay. It's Grandma." As I spoke gently, Emma slowly stood up. That's when I noticed a large bruise on her arm. "Grandma, it hurts." Emma's voice made my heart feel like it was going to break. Looking closely at her body, I saw bruises not just on her arms, but on her neck and legs as well. Her clothes were torn, and it was clear she hadn't changed in a long time. "Emma, who did this to you?" Before I could finish my question, I knew the answer. But I didn't want to believe it. With trembling hands, I took out my cell phone and dialed Sarah's number. After several rings, the phone finally connected. "Hello?" I hear Sarah's voice. In the background, I could hear the sound of waves and lively music. "Sarah, what's going on?" "Emma is." "Oh, Mom. I can't talk right now." There was no sense of urgency in Sarah's voice at all. "Sarah, listen. Emma is." "Hey, I'm in the middle of an amazing Hawaiian vacation. Don't bother me." "But, Emma." "Geez, you're so annoying. Bye." The sound of the phone disconnecting rang sharply in my ear. With unbelievable feelings, I turned my eyes back to Emma. She was sitting on the floor, hugging her knees and making herself small. "Emma, it's okay. You're safe now." I spoke gently to her and slowly approached. Emma trembled a little, but this time she didn't run away when I got close. "Grandma, I'm hungry." Those words made my heart feel like it was going to shatter. Although it was difficult to accept the situation in front of me and my head was in confusion, I knew that caring for Emma was the top priority now. "I understand, Emma. I'll get you something to eat right away." I gently picked Emma up, determined to take her out of this nightmare of a house. The fresh air outside would surely cheer her up a little. As I got into the car, I was thinking about what to do next. Hospital or police? Either way, I can't leave things as they are. I was prepared to do anything to protect Emma. As I drove through the streets of Tampa, I watched Emma through the rearview mirror. She was curled up small in the back seat, staring out the window expressionlessly. The sight made my chest tighten, but I knew I had to act calmly now. "Emma, it's okay. We're going to the hospital to have a doctor check you out." Emma nodded slightly at my words. While I felt a bit relieved at her response, her silence made me anxious. When I parked the car in the Tampa General Hospital parking lot, I slowly picked Emma up. She was surprisingly light, and that fact made my heart ache again. The hospital's automatic doors opened, and the smell of disinfectant hit my nose. After briefly explaining the situation at the reception, we were immediately seen by Dr. Williams from the pediatric department. Entering the examination room, Dr. Williams spoke gently to Emma with a smile. "Hello, Emma. What seems to be the problem today?" Emma remained silent, trying to hide behind me. I took a deep breath and explained the situation in as calm a voice as I could manage. "Doctor, actually." As I detailed what I had seen at home, Emma's bruises, and her condition, Dr. Williams' expression gradually became more serious. "Mrs. Coleman, thank you for the detailed explanation. First, let's do a full examination of Emma." Dr. Williams proceeded with the examination gently but carefully. He checked the bruises all over Emma's body, assessed her nutritional state, and asked several questions. During this time, I quietly watched from the corner of the room. After the examination, Dr. Williams called me out into the hallway. "Mrs. Coleman, Emma's condition is serious. There are clear signs of abuse. Legally, we are obligated to report this to Child Protective Services." At those words, I steeled myself. "I understand. I feel the same way. What should we do? A CPS representative will be here soon. In the meantime, we need to ensure Emma's safety." I said without hesitation, "I'll become Emma's temporary guardian. I'll do anything to protect her." Dr. Williams nodded in agreement. "I think that's the best option. CPS and the police will start an investigation, but it's important to place Emma in a safe environment during that time." The next few hours felt like a dream. The CPS representative arrived, and detailed interviews were conducted. Police officers also came and asked for an explanation of the situation. I repeated the same story multiple times, signed documents, and answered questions. During this time, Emma was sleeping in a hospital bed. Receiving an IV drip and wearing clean hospital clothes, she looked a bit more relaxed. As night fell, things finally settled down. The CPS representative approved my temporary custody of Emma and informed me that a detailed investigation would be conducted. "Mrs. Coleman, the next few days may be difficult. But we need your cooperation for Emma's sake." I expressed my firm determination. "I understand. I'll do anything to protect Emma." Outside the window, the night view of Tampa spread out. Somewhere in this city, what are Sarah and Tom thinking? But now, I must only think about Emma, sleeping in front of me. I intend to do everything I can for her safety and happiness. That's my responsibility as a grandmother and as a human being. The journey from Tampa International Airport to Sarah's house felt long to me. A police patrol car was quietly following behind my car. Jennifer Black was also in the car with me, going over the final briefing. "Martha, it's important to stay calm. Getting emotional won't solve anything." I nodded deeply at Jennifer's words. However, it wasn't easy to suppress the emotions swirling in my chest. At dusk, we arrived in front of Sarah's house. The police officers quietly took up standby positions. The house was dark, and it seemed no one had returned yet. "Their plane should have arrived 30 minutes ago," I muttered. Just then, I saw taxi headlights in the distance. My heart rate increased. The taxi stopped in front of the house, and Sarah and Tom got out. They were talking and smiling, pulling large suitcases. Seeing them, the anger inside me flared up again. As Sarah took out her key and was about to open the door, I got out of the car. "Sarah, Tom." At my voice, they turned around in surprise. Behind them, the police officers also appeared. "Mom? Why are you here?" Sarah's voice trailed off. I could see the color draining from Tom's face. "What's going on?" Tom's voice was shaking. I took a deep breath and started speaking as calmly as I could. "Both of you, there's something you need to explain. Let's go inside first." Under the watchful eye of the police officers, we entered the house. When we turned on the lights in the living room, the messy room was illuminated. Sarah and Tom seemed at a loss for words at the sight. "Emma, where is she?" Sarah finally spoke. "In the hospital. In the state you left her." At my words, Sarah's face turned pale. Jennifer stepped forward and began stating the facts matter-of-factly. "Sarah, Tom, you have committed serious crimes. First, child abuse. Emma's body had numerous bruises and was in a state of severe malnutrition." Tom tried to speak, but Jennifer continued. "And Tom, you embezzled over $100,000 from Coleman Realty. The funds for this trip came from there too, didn't they?" Tom's face turned blue, and he looked like he was about to stagger. "No, that's..." However, Jennifer mercilessly presented the evidence. "We have all the evidence. Bank records, expense reports, and even hotel reservation records." Tom slumped his shoulders and collapsed into a chair. "I admit it. I did it. But Sarah, you didn't know about this." Sarah looked at Tom with a surprised face but quickly averted her gaze. "Sarah, you're equally guilty," I said quietly but firmly. "You neglected Emma and overlooked the abuse. And you also used up her education fund." Sarah, on the verge of breaking down in tears, weakly argued. "That's not true. I just..." But she couldn't continue. One of the police officers stepped forward and said in a solemn voice, "Sarah Coleman, Tom Parker, you are under arrest on suspicion of child abuse. Tom Parker, you are also charged with embezzlement." As the Miranda rights were read and handcuffs were placed on them, I watched with mixed feelings. The decision to have my daughter arrested was one of the most painful in my life. However, I knew this was a necessary step for Emma's safety and happiness. As Sarah and Tom were put into the police vehicle, Sarah looked at me one last time. In her eyes, I saw a mixture of regret, fear, and something she wanted to say. But I couldn't understand her feelings. As I watched the police vehicle drive away, I said to Jennifer, "It's not over, is it?" Jennifer quietly nodded. "No, this is just the beginning of the real battle. But you can overcome it, Martha. For Emma's sake." Looking up at the moon in the night sky, I renewed my determination. The road ahead will certainly not be smooth. But I intend to move forward no matter what to bring back Emma's smile. The judge's voice echoed in the solemn atmosphere of the courtroom. The court officially grants custody of Emma Coleman to Martha Coleman. At that moment, tears welled up in my eyes. After a long legal battle, I could finally officially welcome Emma as a member of my family. Emma, sitting next to me, tightly gripped my hand with her small one. "Grandma, we'll be together forever now, right?" Looking into Emma's clear eyes, I quietly nodded. "That's right, Emma. From now on, Grandma will protect you." A few weeks later, Emma enrolled in the local private academy of Tampa. Although she was anxious at first, surrounded by kind teachers and new friends, she gradually regained her smile. One Saturday, we went to Busch Gardens. Emma excitedly enjoyed one attraction after another and her eyes sparkled as she watched the animals. "Grandma, isn't that giraffe's neck too long?" Emma's innocent question made me smile involuntarily. "Yes, it is. But thanks to that long neck, it can eat leaves from high places." "Wow, that's amazing." Seeing Emma's curious nature, I felt that her wounds were slowly healing. The following month, a Grandparents' Day event was held at the local parkland. We participated, interacting with other grandparents and grandchildren. Emma played happily with children her age, while I shared parenting concerns and joys with other grandparents. "Martha, the bond between you and Emma is truly wonderful," the woman sitting next to me said kindly. "Thank you. We've overcome some special circumstances together." The woman nodded understandingly at those words. At twilight, on our way home, Emma suddenly stopped and looked up at me. "Grandma, thank you. I'm happy." Those words filled my heart with warmth. Meanwhile, Sarah and Tom were found guilty in court and sentenced to prison. While hoping for their rehabilitation, I decided to limit contact with them, prioritizing Emma's safety above all. Time passed, and Emma grew into a fine high school student. One day, she handed me a letter. "Grandma, please read this." The letter was filled with Emma's feelings of gratitude. "I'm truly grateful that you saved me, Grandma. You're my hero." Those words made me cry again. But this time, they were tears of joy. Through a difficult journey, we became a true family. Blood ties are important, but through this experience, I learned that love and trust are even more crucial. Every time I see Emma's smile, I renew my determination. If you have the courage to protect those you love, no matter what difficulties arise, a happy future will surely come. Our new chapter of life continues. And I intend to live each day preciously and